Okay, so I was pretty excited to get all these accessories in the post from Retroid. This is the Retroid Pocket 5 case, which actually is very nice. They always have good cases. Um, it's a little bit more generic than usual. Usually it's form fitting. They've got the nice little grippy zippers, little indentations there. And I mean, it is Retroid branded, but as you'll see now, it's actually sort of reversible. You can put this thing in both ways. It's got that little tab, a lot like my Odin 2 mini case. So when you open it like this, you just pull it up with that tab. So that's handy. Also, they've left a lot of space at the top. So you can probably fit a small charger in there, plus a cable, plus other things. So there is a lot of space in there. It's not form fitting completely, so it does move around a little bit, but it is a lovely case. So highly recommend the case. Now, this little thing that I got for the Retroid Pocket Mini, I thought it was going to be clear. I actually thought it was a glass case. So the pictures on the website were a little bit misleading. This is not what I was expecting. It's lovely. It's perfect for travel because now, if I put this on, I'm not going to be afraid to use it, but it looks terrible. I really should have gone for the black one. Had I known it was going to be this frosty white, I definitely wouldn't have purchased it. So just a recommendation there. All right, so this, the next step was this clear black back. Now, I am a fan of these clear back plates, like on my Steamdeck. I really love it. And I regretted not getting this smoky black backplate for my Steamdeck, and so I went for that with the Retroid. Now, you'll see the plastic does look clear on my desk here as I am taking the backplate off. There's not too much to this, I'm just switching the device off quickly, making sure that the SD card's out, even though it wasn't necessary. And there's 4 screws. The big thing here is getting that backplate off. Using their little pry tool is cool. Start at the shoulder buttons. That is the best place to start. And the snapping of these clips is quite loud. So it is quite aggressive and it is quite unnerving. So yeah, it took me a bit of a while to get this off. Just trial and error. Just keep trying to get that pry tool in there, pulling and using my fingers. I eventually got it off, but it was a bit of a mission. Yeah, like I say, the clicking as it happens is quite aggressive and quite disconcerting. You feel like you're breaking it, but you are not. As long as you pry it and pull it outwards away from the body of the device, it comes off all right. Gave it a little clean while I was in there and literally just snap it back on and put those screws back on. That snapping is very loud. That snapping on the sides. Now, can you see the difference? Now that the other cover's off, like it looks the same. Anyway, I put the screen guard on as well. The screen guard was great. I did this sort of from the center as recommended with most screen guards, but this edge just is still like usually these oleophobic screen guards eventually settle in, but that edge is still not sticking properly to my Retroid Pocket 5, so I'm not sure what happened there. And yeah, not sure about that clear black. We'll get back to that at the end of the video. Now, the Retroid Pocket Mini, what I wanted to do, I didn't get a backplate for this, but I wanted to change the buttons. Literally just I wanted those Famicom colored D-pad and action buttons. But now getting in, you realize I've got to get all the way through the electronics to those buttons. So I've got to take these cover plates off. You've got to take out, and it took me a while to realize you've got to take out all the screws. Every single screw you see on the right, you see on the left, you've got to take them all out. You can do a little count of the screws on the right-hand side once I'm done, but it is a lot. Here I'm kind of just figuring out, I'm realizing, okay, there's a few more screws. I had to take the speaker out. When you take the speakers out, just be careful of those little grooves that they've created for those wires and unplugging everything for those speakers. So that's a whole thing. Here, what I will say is I've pulled the trigger buttons off. You don't need to do that. And you don't need to unscrew the joysticks, just the housing, that plastic housing for the joysticks. Unscrew that. Now there's a bunch of ribbon cables. Ribbon cables work with a little clip. unclip it gently and gently pull those ribbon cables out. We're going to have to put those ribbon cables back when we reassemble the thing. So this is not for the faint of heart. This is a real mission just to have different color buttons. So I wouldn't recommend it to anyone that's never done this sort of thing before. Here I am just prying those PCBs off and realizing there's even more screws to come out. It's just like endless amounts of screws. Like I said, you don't have to actually unscrew the joystick, just the housing. And then you just pull that out. There's a ribbon cable between the PCB and the center of the body. So I just left that ribbon cable attached and lifted the PCB gently and put the D-pad in. There are little pins for the D-pad, little plastic pins. Make sure those are in on the edges. There's a little place to pin it into the D-pad rubber membrane. Get that done. Again, on this side, a ribbon cable attaching the PCB to the center of the console. So I just gently pry that PCB up and pull the action buttons out. There are my maroon action buttons, just making sure the orientation is correct. Get those in there. Again, little plastic pins for the rubber membrane to attach to. So just make sure those are attached and then kind of push it in, and that'll be fine. And then I had to reassemble. So go through. The main thing is just to make sure those little wires are not crimped through the groove of the speaker. So when you put the speakers back in, make sure those wires are running through those grooves that they've provided. And also the ribbon cables, be very careful. Make sure that they are level. There's a little line to show that they are level. Make sure those ribbon cables are in properly and gently close those clips for the ribbon cables. And yeah, just go back the way you came and slowly but surely put the whole thing back together. Bit of a mission, bit disconcerting, but yeah, it's okay. And also we've got those little, I think they're called JST plugs. Make sure all those things are plugged in for the speaker and what have you. All right. So now those little screws, it's a plastic body, so don't over tighten these screws. Just gently, I usually do a little reverse screw and notches in and then screw those in. The action buttons come with a bunch of options, so I was just considering my options there. And yeah, all that effort for those maroon Famicom buttons. I'm glad I did it. I like the way it looks, but there was a real chance that I damaged my device and caused, future damage of just the buttons and the shoulder buttons not working correctly. So it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not something that I'd actually recommend unless you really know what you're doing. Again, that plastic backing, I really wish I'd gone for the black one. So maybe the next time I order from Retroid, I'll order a black one, but highly unlikely. Not going to go through that rigmarole again. And also got a screen guard here. They've got, I don't know if it was necessary to make cutouts for everything. I think they just wanted to look uniform again, even with a screen guard on. But I don't know if it was completely necessary. So much like opportunity for failure there. Anyway, I think without the cover, this looks pretty damn good. Like I like my little maroon buttons. So in the end, I am happy with it, but I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. Now this backplate, damn man, it's hard to see that I've got a clear backplate on there and all that money spent, and it just doesn't look that great. So anyway, that is it. That is my little DIY thing for today. Hope it helped you if you do buy any of these things to make a better decision than I did.